Hello, everyone. So today we're here with Jim Girouard and Brad Johnson, and we're going to be talking about dice divination. So, Jim, would you like to get us started off on how you created the dice divination and how it all started for you?
Yeah, I was in Boston at the time, and I saw some videos on the Bible code, and I was interested in getting letters myself. They were using a computer program and a CD, and they were accessing thousands of letters from 5 books from the Bible. So there was this other group that was trying to prove that the Bible code was a hoax. So they ran the letters of Moby Dick, the book, into a computer program. And they were trying to say that they could get predictions and answers from Moby Dick, which they did. And then they turned around and said, look, we proved that the Bible code was a hoax. But I thought all they did was just prove that if you had thousands of letters, you could get predictions. So I thought of getting some regular dice. I went out in the streets of Boston. I bought 5 dice at a CVS store. I started throwing about 20 throws of dice with the 5 dice, which was giving me roughly 80 to 90 letters. And I was doing it that way in the beginning. And then later on, I found a boggle game, and the boggle had dice with letters on it. So from there, I did readings every day for 3 years. And it took me all that time to figure out that there was a relationship between the thoughts I was having and the readings. And after a while, I started seeing that if I put myself into a certain mood, I would get good readings.
Excellent. And how many readings a day would you do?
At least one, sometimes 3 or 4. So in 3 years, I probably did, 1,500 readings. And, that was quite a few to have to, teach yourself a certain method. But there was no one there to give me any mentoring.
Okay. And how does the method itself work? What are the steps to doing the dice readings for people?
Okay, you take 26 dice, you throw them 5 times, you write down 130 letters, and then you anagram the letters to get words, and then you put the words together to get sentences, and usually start off with a reference point, like a starting word. You look through all the words and see if there's one word that resonates with you. You can start with that word. If that doesn't happen, you can use something like he or she or they, and then look for are or some kind of verb, and then something that follows those 2 words, and just piece a sentence together like you would in your mind. Except with this process, it takes a lot longer.
Okay. And what do you mean by anagram, the words? Can you explain a little bit what that means?
Well, an anagram is a bunch of scrambled letters that don't form a word, and it might be completely rearranged and misspelled. But as long as the letters are next to each other, you can put a word together.
Okay. So in the sequence of the 130 letters, when I was trying the dice method, I noticed that for me it was difficult making out any words because you have these 5 lines of lettering. How I couldn't decode it that way, so I had to write out the 5 lines and then work on each line getting words out of it and then putting the words together, like, because I couldn't just pick out any old word out of the 130 letter sequence, so I had to modify the process a little bit for myself to do it.
Yeah, the process is like gazing, gazing into a crystal ball, except with this process, you're gazing into the letters.
Okay, so do you have to have some kind of a ability, like a seer's ability or psychic ability, to be able to get the words out of the 130 letter sequence?
Well, I'm about as psychic as a sledgehammer. So anybody can do it. It just takes time. It takes practice and time.
Okay. And Brad, how has this method worked for you? Like, what's your experience with it, with the dice divination?
Yeah, I mean, I've just been able to start working with it. I've just done like some few experimental works with it. One of the very first ones I did was just about the next U.S. president in that particular way. And at the time, I think I only had about maybe like 15 or 16 dice because I was printing them out of my 3D printer in that way. Basically, what I did is I just shook the dice in my hands. I just closed my eyes and I asked the particular question. And I had like a little mat that was on my desk here, and I just very carefully sprinkled the dice from left to right. And what I did is I just noticed how the dice were falling from left to right. So basically, if there was I would just kind of sweep them in regards to a left to right quotient in that way. So I basically say, okay, this one's a little bit more to the left, so I'll put it that one together. This one's a little bit more to the left, so I'll put it that together. And then they all just form this 16-letter word. And basically, the answer I got from the dice was that of Clinton. Right. So just my own particular way of looking at it, because I've looked at what Jim does as well too. It just feels like there's just it's accessing your subconscious, and you basically, for me, I use my intuition in regards to how the dice are arranged in that particular way. So I just lightly sprinkled them on the mat here so they wouldn't fly off anywhere, and just basically putting them together in a sequence from left to right, and that's basically what came through in that particular way. When I've done other particular forms of readings as well too, when I've had the 26 dice, because I have the Campbell's alphabet game, again, just put all 26 dice in my hands. I just asked a question, and then again, I'm just sprinkling them out, and I'm just arranging them from left to right, and seeing all those particular patterns coming together, and then doing what I can intuitively to decipher the dice information that's coming through.
So are you using, Brad, all 130 letters to decipher, or are you just
26 dice, yeah.
Yeah, so you're finding, is it easy with Jim's method of all 130 letters?
It'll take a lot of practice. Yeah, no doubt. I'm just starting to dip my toes into it. Recently, I've just been so busy with a lot of sessions and all that, so I haven't been able to try it every single day. But I did try it a couple days ago, and it was just a lot of personal information for me as well. And I just started sprinkling it out on the mat and just started putting them all together. And so yeah, you had 130 words, and you do it 5 times, right? So you got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're just attempting to create anagrams with that word. Sometimes, again, they'll just be like if you had like PWR, in that particular, like, then that could represent something like power, right? So you're basically just you have to really kind of connect, and as you get the hang of it, like what Jim is saying, and doing it for as long as he's done it, you just see the words right away without having to use any intuition. For me, I still use my intuition in that way to connect with what the dice are saying, but there is, of course, the method that if you're doing this long enough, you'll just see everything come together as soon as you start doing the reading.
Yeah, it's a good point that you're making about the PWR, because you don't necessarily need all the letters. As long as the pronunciation of the word is there, you can use it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed too. Brad, do you write out, like, once you throw the 26 letters, do you write out the line of words on a piece of paper?
Yeah, basically what it is, I put down the 5 columns of what the words are, and I basically I'm just trying to see how I do it. As I basically have those that are on the top of the page, and then below I just start putting together anagrams in that way of what I received through the sequences in that way, and then at the bottom of that I put sentence structure together in that way. And it can be challenging because, again, there's certain things that are missing, and you have to kind of do like a little bit of filler words to really kind of get it down. But it's a very, very powerful method. From the readings I've had, there's definitely an accuracy there as well too, because you're basically just talking to your own subconscious and just being able to put it together into something of an understandable platform of translation.
Do you ever get the feeling that the answers to the message that you receive is sometimes coming not from your subconscious but from the universe itself?
Well, they're basically the same. They're basically the same thing, right? So basically, if you're receiving it from the universe itself, you're receiving it from the subconscious. It all just comes from the same source, right? So you're basically just tapping in that way. I don't invoke any particular energies that come through in this. So this is just pure subconscious that I'm getting information from, because I'm just holding the dice in my hand, and I say to my dice, I ask this question, right? And so I'm just addressing the dice together as a representation of my subconscious, and I'm just sprinkling it right across the mat. and just doing what I can to arrange all the letters together, and also doing what I can to try and make sense about what's coming through.
Yeah, I've had, it's mostly from my subconscious, but once in a while I have ETs come in and add to the answer. So I've put notes in, this is not from my subconscious, this is from my ET contacts adding in through the dice. Somehow they're able to come in and add to the answer.
Well, something I just wanted to mention to you, Ileana, because before we went on the air, we noticed that your site was deleted. Basically, what you can do is you can go to Google and just type in Ileana list Wix, and then you'll see your site come up, and then you'll see like a little arrow, and what you want to do is just access your cached pages, and you'll be able to retrieve everything back to the pages that were there previously before it went down.
Okay, so Ileana, go to Google, Ileana list Wix, type it in.
Exactly. So you'll see your page there on the start. You'll say messages from a star traveler, wix.com, and it'll show the green hyperlink, the ileanawix.com/star traveler messages. And you'll see a little down arrow, right? You click on that down arrow. This is what's happening in Google Chrome, and then you'll see you'll click on cached. So when everything is cached, you'll be able to go and back up. So basically, for everybody that's listening, Ileana's website was deleted this morning without any notice from her in that sense. So to me, that sounds like a lot of stuff that you're putting up has a lot of great truth in it, and somebody just doesn't want people to see it. So, but if you can go on there and back up all the cache, and you can put it back up again.
Well, yeah, I'll have to redo the whole thing though, because
but at least you have the backups of all the stuff, so you just copy and paste.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll try. I mean, I did contact.
I'm seeing it right now on Google Chrome, so I'm already there, and I'm already looking at your cache page. It's going to be there for a while, so all of your links are working. Like if I'm going to Star Nation, Star Origins, your entire information is there. So just back it all up, and then you just have to copy and paste it all back into it. At least all that is intact. You don't have to start from scratch.
Yeah, it's well, I hope maybe something happened on their server and they have a backup of it somewhere. I'm hoping.
Well, this would be the backup with it altogether, right? So you would basically just have to copy and paste all the text into a document, and then just keep that as a library. Yes. And you may have to rebuild it to the site again, but at least you'll have all the content there intact.
Yeah. I hope. Yeah, I'll try that, and hopefully the network provider. Maybe something happened with their server.
It feels like this was a hack attack. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting here.
Oh, so they don't have the backup for it.
That's hard to say. I mean, there's the cache pages, so the cache pages themselves are the backups. But basically, for your site to be taken down like that without any particular type of notice when you haven't done anything other than sharing information, to me sounds like a hack attack. Yes,
and it was for free. I wasn't paying for the service. They offer websites for free. So, and when I tried to log in to their Wix site itself to see the backup of the site, nothing was there. So it's obviously been deleted.
But the good news is Google caches all of the pages. So basically, you're just getting the backup from Google. Yeah, the question is, will I want to rebuild all of that? Because it took 2 years. Well, the whole idea is at least you'll be able to get the content stored, right? Yeah. So you can go to all your pages. You just capture everything that you got. Yes. You keep it on file. Get backups of backups of backups. Yes. And then whatever you decide to do is good. But at least you have the content there. Yeah. I'll do the backup stuff, but I probably won't rebuild it because if I'm going to be attacked like that, I'll just do the YouTube shows then. Because.
Losing personal write-ups like that is frustrating.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? I just, if it was meant to be taken down, it was. So be it. It's one of those things.
But at least you can preserve a lot of the content that you spent hours working with, right? So.
Yeah. I'll do that. But otherwise, they took it down. Perhaps it was time. I don't know. But anyways, let's get back to the dice stuff. And so, Jim, have you had any personal revelations from the dice themselves that have helped you?
Thousands.
Can you describe a little bit about that?
Yeah, like yesterday, I had a question. My question was that I want to know if there was a double of mine, like another version of myself, trying to contact me from another parallel time zone. And the answer I got from the reading was, do an investigation on yourself like a self-reflection. So it was kind of a no answer, but it kind of described what to do and how to go about, you know, looking at yourself, your inner reflection, and just going within.
It's excellent. That's excellent. And Brad, have you had any personal revelations from the dice?
Yeah, I mean, there's still some things that are in progress, right? Because the aspects of predictions that I've asked for are still looking to come down a little bit more down the road. So there's just kind of a waiting period in that way. But just a lot of stuff in regards to what I've discovered about myself now. There's been a lot of accuracy. A lot of the stuff has just been personal information in that way. So with personal information, I've discovered that there's some really good credence to the dice method in that sense. But again, it does take practice. I'm not sure if anybody else is doing the dice method as well too, but I'd say talk to Jim. Of course, he's the guy for this. But for me, it's just all about being able to work with my intuition and being able to decipher a lot of these messages. And yeah, there's been some really great accuracy coming in. But again, it's kind of like they're highlighted words, and you're just doing what you can to kind of put something in, not to contaminate the sequence of what's being coming through, but just being able to get an understanding about what the basic conversation is, because it is a bit of a long process, that's for sure. It does take a bit of time to really roll the dice and to put everything together and to do the sequence of the words and putting the words together so that they make sense. A lot of that does take time, but overall it's a very powerful method.
Great, great. And I found for myself that it really has answered some of my deep personal questions with a high degree of accuracy that really made sense to me. And I've been decoding my own readings and sending the five sequences to Jim as well, and he's been decoding it as well. So I've been able to sort of look at my own decoding and Jim's decoding, and it really is matching up. So if anybody is doing this dice method, I would recommend that you send the 5 rows of the 26 letter throws to Jim so he can have a look at it, because he's the one that made the dice method. So, and he's very good at decoding it, and it takes him like 20 minutes, 10 minutes, and you get really nice answer as well, so you can compare what you decoded and what he was able to receive out of it, and you get a rich answer, very clear answer. So it's very interesting process, I find, and for me it has helped me quite a bit as well.
Yeah, the thing about the dice method is when you get an answer, and because it's coming from your energy, uh, the way that the sentences and the words are phrased is very consistent with your personality. So there's sentences in there that sound like something that you might say yourself. So in a sense, it's a divination method that's animated. It's animated to your personal energy.
Yeah, I find that very true. It sounds like my higher self is answering, because it is individualized to each person, the way it's done. So I agree with that 100%, Jim. How about you, Brad?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a very different feeling if you're using something like tarot cards or pendulum in that sense, because they all represent different archetypes to what you are attempting to sense in that way. Pendulums can be a little bit different because it's more of a dowsing energy. But this, in that sense, it's more of, again, just it's a codex. It's a codex that's coming through your subconscious, and you are basically aligning with the medium of the dice. And the dice is therefore becoming this codex medium. And so you're doing what you can to decipher a lot of that information. Again, this is still something that I'm just learning. I'm in no way an expert of the dice method right now. I'm still attempting to really get a grasp of it and attempting to understand it. I do understand its principle, but it's all about just being able to continue to work with this and make it natural to you. And right now I'm just relying on intuition to help me out in regards to a lot of the messages that are coming through. But again, as I stated, it's just you dialoguing with the pure codex of your subconscious.
Wow, I can,
your signal's breaking up there, Brad. At least it is
yeah.
on my end.
Okay, did you get the full conversation?
Yeah, I can
No,
make out what you're saying, but it's choppy.
Okay.
I,
Might
I
just be
get
the internet.
I get a lot of fear coming through. We're being attacked right now.
Well, yeah, I felt there's been, I haven't been too centered as soon as we came on air as well, too. So there's definitely a lot of energy in the air today that's a little tense. So, yeah.
Yeah,
But all we can do is just keep continuing to share what we can for as long as we're on here.
yeah, I can't hear you, Brad, at all. It's like I'm feeling we're being attacked right now as we're talking.
I can make out what he's saying, but it's choppy.
Yeah, it's very choppy. It's somebody is doing something to this interview right now.
Well, that's okay. All we have to do is just keep sharing what we can share.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It,
Well,
it, al- it almost feels like a kind of problem you could just like correct it very easily, like a connection problem or something.
I
Yeah, everything on my end seems okay. Microphone's working okay, and the internet's connected okay. So whatever's happening, it may not be on my end. It might just be something server side.
yeah, it's separate. I mean, it feels like somebody's trying to interrupt our message from coming through because this information is too important.
But let's keep going, and let's just make it as best as we can before anything
Yeah,
like that happens.
yeah, that's true. So, Jim, is there anything else that you would like to include for us?
Well, I'd like to get back to the question that you asked earlier about the universe and your higher self. This can be a little bit confusing of an area to try and understand because your subconscious and your higher self uh, is what you're addressing when you do a reading. And then there's these energetic currents in this spectrum that we call the universe. So, somewhere in between those two aspects is where you find yourself in relationship to the universe.
Okay, I agree with that. It's really about making a conscious connection with yourself and the dice, and the energies, reading the energies is very interesting. There's a lot more when you throw the dice. Your energetic self picks it up and you're able to intuitively decode the codex, so to speak.
Yeah, so I've done this for hundreds of people, and a lot of them have a hard time trying to understand what the higher self is and what these energetic currents are because the way that language is usually carried out, like in the social fabric, has more to do with just mundane things and false ego things like, what do you do for a living? And, you know, you don't hear very many conversations taking place between people that have anything to do with awareness or the subconscious or the higher self.
Yeah, so true. Brad, what's your take on that?
Well, as I was saying, again, I'm not too sure if I got cut off in the middle of it or not, but I'm saying that basically when you're looking at the dice, you're looking at a subconscious codex, right? So basically everything that represents that codex will be personalized with one's own subconscious. Each of us are our own universes. And so we're only being able to take a replication of the universe that we understand and are able to perceive it through our own point of view. So we have a unique perspective as to the universe within itself. So all we're doing is being able to access this kind of codex. It can almost be like a cube of knowledge in that way, being able to look at the idea of a hypercube or a higher sacred geometry that is helping us to understand the many mirrors and facets of ourselves. Because we become very, very addicted to the conscious self can only show us so much. We're only seeing a look through a keyhole, basically, as it relates to reality. So when we're looking into something of a subconscious codex, we're being able to understand a little bit more because it has a vastness of information and insight that can come through. The whole idea is just being able to gravitate with that energy so you can understand exactly what's coming together. So awareness itself has the ability to broaden if you're willing to look beyond the keyhole and actually go into it and open the door and see what is before you. And so something like that of that medium is really just encouraging you to access more of the subconscious because the subconscious has all the blueprints, the imprints needed for us to really understand our own universal perspective a lot more. And that takes time. It just takes patience, it takes time, it takes development. But again, it's an excellent method that can really help and serve you to understand your codex.
I agree with all of that, and it's the intuition really is a guiding point to help you to decode the dice, and the willingness to work with the dice is very important, and not to get frustrated if it takes a longer time than you thought to get an answer, because it's to me it felt like the Enigma code essentially in the beginning. It took me 4 hours to do one reading, and I was quite excited still because I got a lot of good info for my answer from the question that I asked. And it gets easier, like the more you have practice with it, the easier it gets in the shorter time span to decode. So don't worry if it takes you like an hour or even 4 hours the first or second or even third or fourth time that you're doing this dice divination method, because it really does give you clear answers. And like Brad was saying, it's a lot more clear than tarot sometimes, because the answers you ask of tarot can't always be subconsciously accessed. But with the dice, because you're getting the letters and the words, you're getting a clear answer. So it gives you a bigger, broader picture of what's going on and to your answer of the original question I found for me. Because some of the questions that I was asking is really on the deep subconscious level that you need the dice method to figure out the answer to that. Tarot was just giving me a surface level of what's going on now, but not to what I was actually asking. So
Yeah, and that's true. I don't want to dismiss the tarot at all, because the tarot, for me, I think has helped a lot. But it is basically very, very surface-based, subconscious. So when you're working together with the tarot, a lot of people just are so good at it, they can just lay it out and they know exactly what their sequence is about what's happening. The dice, as you stated, I think is again a much more deeper layer. It helps you to understand more facets of the subconscious that you did not know were there. And so, again, I use the tarot myself. I enjoy it. But the dice definitely has that kind of deeper registry as it pertains to the subconscious.
Your signal cleared up. It's nice and clear now.
Well, that's because I did a blessing, so I think it worked.
yes,
Something worked.
Yeah.
yes. And can you repeat the info about the codex again? Because that was very important, and that's when the signal went.
Okay, yeah. So I'll try and remember it because I'm just getting flow here. I'm not retaining any memory. Basically, again, the subconscious codex would be something like the dice, right? So basically, there's a codex that goes very, very deep, very, very deep for us. It's like a hypercube in that way. It's like a higher sacred geometry. And when we are accessing our own natural conscious self, it's like looking through the keyhole of a door. Basically, what we're attempting to do is making more of the subconscious our true reality, our true awareness in that way. So utilizing something like tarot or utilizing something like the dice divination, where you are able to access this plethora, this vast amount of information, is helping you to basically open up that door and being able to see more about what's inside rather than having to feel satisfied with just peeking through a keyhole. So it's all about being able to continue to work with something like the dice divination method so that you can get a lot more understanding about the subconscious and what is coming through in that particular way. That will help to guide you and help to show some certain forms of timelines that can come together, and just being able to help you gain a much further state of awareness with the subconscious.
Excellent. And Brad, when you're working with the dice, how does the subconscious work for you? How does that work?
Well, it was as previously described. Basically, again, that I'm just shaking the dice, and I've shuffled them before, and I shake them, and I put a question in there, and I just basically lay out the dice, again, from left to right, from left to right, and just being able to put the dice together from a left to right pattern, right? So again, you have 5 columns, or 5 rows, rather, of the 130 words altogether, and 130 letters. And so you're basically just doing what you can to decipher all of that information as best you can. But what I do is I rely on intuition. I just basically look at this and say, because I'm still new to it, my intuition helps me to try and connect certain words together.
And how do you connect to that intuition? How does that
You
work for
don't you
you?
don't even you don't even try. It doesn't need to take an effort. I mean, all you're basically doing is you're just asking a question. You're just pulling it up. Your subconscious is always going to be your subconscious. The only thing that's your conscious awareness is everything that you are consciously aware of, your thoughts, precisely, right? Anything else that's coming together through a dice divination, anything that's coming through a tarot is pure subconscious. Me talking to you right now, you are an aspect of my subconscious. Me talking to Jim right now, Jim is an aspect of my subconscious. Everything, 99.9999999% is my subconscious. So the only thing that I'm aware of is my own thoughts, is my own space, is my own environment. That's my conscious self. So it's kind of like looking at this itty bitty little breadcrumb in the middle of this vast, immense pond, right? So basically everything is subconscious. So what you're doing is you're just playing with the subconscious to get an understanding about how you can perceive reality on a greater level.
Perfect. And that was something they were blocking when the signal on your end went down. So that described everything perfectly, again, what was being blocked. So that's interesting that now it went through, because what's blocked can be unblocked and you can get another answer back.
Yeah, you just ask for assistance. That's all I was doing. Is when I noticed that there was some difficulty, I just put my hands together and just said to my guides, to my loved ones, to all divine connections, please assist in bringing stability and tranquility and harmony to this event, so that we can share what we are needing to share. And bam, came together a couple minutes later. So that's the whole idea. When you know that you're in a problem, intervention, right? That's the key. This is exactly what Adronis was talking about with these intervention fleets. With intervention altogether. If you know that something is being sabotaged, something is not working your way, ask for intervention, to put a call out to the universe, and something is going to come your way in that way. So we just proved that works.
Beautiful. And Jim, do you have any info on intervention and help?
The whole idea is to address your higher self. Like you can use this method to diagnose disease, let's say, and not only that, but the reading will give you, suggestions about what to do to heal it. But I wouldn't do that for somebody else, because that might get into some sort of medical and legal, problems. If you're diagnosing somebody else, there might be some question as to the legality of your authority. But you can do it for yourself. And the whole process is a healing process, in the sense that, the idea is for you to address your higher self, and not address your material desires so much, because, there's all these desires that come up, like, are you going to get the girl, or are you going to get the money or the job, all these things that are coming up. There's ways you can rephrase the question, like, am I in a position to receive abundance, or am I in a position to receive, love and affection, or something like that. You can rephrase the question and ask it in such a way that it resonates with the subconscious and with the higher self.
That's a very good answer. I concur with that. And asking the question the right way is important as well. Like you were telling me yesterday, I had a question that came from me, but my subconscious had to sort of, it was there, but it had to be out of the way a little bit to get the answer. So I was writing to you the question in 3 different times, and you said, aha, that's the right way to do it, to be able to answer this question. And I was specifically instructed not to roll the dice myself, but to ask you to roll the dice, but the question had to be formulated correctly to get the correct answer. So that's very important as well.
Yeah, what happens after a certain point in time is that uh, it's like a telepathy that starts to develop from higher self to higher self. So, after a while, the communication that I have with these people that are doing dice rolls, uh, that communication starts to become telepathic from higher self to higher self.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Brad, I just wanted to ask, like, what's energetically going on the planet and in the universe right now?
That's a very vast question. I don't think we can cover that in one show. There's just there's a lot happening in the universe and the world. I mean, we're full of different forms of vibratory patterns, right? So there's a lot of things happening. I'm sure there's a lot of things happening in regards to political arenas that people are wondering about, or relating to what's happening in regards to, is Hillary Clinton going to be the next president and all that stuff like that. I feel that again, there's definitely that approach to coming in that particular way, but all I'm basically just doing is measuring momentum about where things are going. I do feel that she is going to try and take office, but I feel that there's going to be a lot of repercussions the first day that she tries to step in office. So there's going to be a lot of political upheaval. It may just be coming to the point where a lot of what we have seen in Iceland pertaining to the Icelandic people kicking out a lot of their political people that have been corrupt, and I feel that that's going to replicate in some way in the United States with that. I just think people just know that they've seen the magic show enough. We've seen enough of the person sawing the woman in half, and we were seeing the bunny being pulled out of the hat. We know how it's done right now, and so people are not giving any kind of validity pertaining to the election process right now because they've seen how it's rigged, they've seen how it's manipulated, they've seen how it's corrupted, and so basically I feel that it would be the very last presidential election of its kind that we've seen. So basically, there's going to be a lot of transformation. Basically, I've said again, in the next 8 years is going to be a span of change. So we're basically pulling out a lot of these roots from the ground, and we're going to see a lot of things happen. Jonas has said that around the fall to the winter time, we're moving into fourth density. So there's a lot going around our planet right now. There's basically a very big pressure to letting people become aware of extraterrestrials as well too. So there's a big disclosure movement. A lot of people are suggesting that Obama may be the disclosure president before he leaves office. That's a possibility. I haven't looked into that too much, but maybe I will. It just feels like I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. It's certainly a possibility. There's still a lot of suppression behind him to making sure that he doesn't reveal that. I'm pretty sure they want Hillary Clinton to be the person instead of Obama. But again, that's all just depends. It's all based upon timelines here. So it's a possibility that he may do it. It's a possibility that she may do it. So one of them in that sense is going to do it. But I feel that there's just a lot of pressure right now. And there's a lot of information that is actually coming out into the public arena about NASA actually admitting that there's other life. It's just buried in the archives of the internet, and if you find it, then you'll notice that a lot of these things are being revealed. But the whole idea is that they're being put out, but they're not putting any kind of spotlight on it to let people know that there's other extraterrestrial civilizations, that every planet in our solar system is heating up and is basically going through a global warming change. It's not just the Earth that's doing that. That the Moon is an artificial satellite. Is a spacecraft and has its own means of propulsion. It has a world engine contained into it as well too, and is able to leave at its own space, kind of like an impulse drive, as I'm pretty sure you're aware too, Ileana.
Yes.
With a lot of that, and that there's many different types of races that are on the Moon. There's a Lunar Operations Command. There's a Mars Defense Force. There's the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. It is so vast. There's so much. We can drown ourselves with so much information that's coming through. All I can say is that there's a lot changing. There's a lot coming ahead. And it's basically almost like looking at a pressure pipe and knowing that steam is now starting to come out of this pressure pipe and it's ready to burst. So I think before the end of 2016, we're going to see an enormous burst of this pressure pipe and see a lot of things being exposed, not just in regards to extraterrestrials or politics or a monetary system, etc., but just in regards to truth that has been kept under our eyes for so long.
Yes, and I've noticed a lot of people are emailing me saying, I'm being attacked, and there's a lot of fear factor. People aren't able to sleep, people are having migraines, all kinds of weird bodily symptoms of diseases and stuff.
Yeah, but what I would suggest to people in that sense who are saying, I'm being attacked, the whole idea is if you know that you're being attacked, you want to being able to put a veil upon yourself. If you're just constantly buying into that attack, you're going to be attacked more and more. And if you're going to constantly say, this isn't giving me any kind of security, this isn't making me feel at peace, well, look what you're constantly putting out to the universe. You have to be mindful of what your thoughts are saying, of what your words are saying, of what everything in that way of what you are projecting out is saying. I'm victimized, I'm being hurt. And basically that's what the universe is saying. Okay, here's more victimization, here's more hurt, right? So what you want to do is just get yourself into a space. If you're feeling that you're having a lack of sleep, because I had that with my girlfriend not too long ago. We had almost like an entire week without hardly any sleep at all. And all we have to do is just do what we can to put and ask for assistance. So again, it's like that intervention. that I'm talking to people about, is saying that if you feel that that's happening, put a call out just saying that I cannot sleep right now. I feel that I am being violated in some way. I ask for assistance so that I can retain my rest, I can retain my thoughts, I can retain my sense of being. Please help me, right? And that's it. And so that is creating a veil, and now that's putting that intention because that is your own genuine essence behind that that is now bringing this out. So again, it's not about feeling that I'm being attacked, I'm being attacked. Don't go into that victimization because that was what was going to continue to create with you. Being able to remember that you're standing firm, standing tall, just giving yourself a moment to time out, to go into your center and just ask for that type of assistance. Really just center yourself. That's the key.
And the lack of sleep was the girlfriend with your girlfriend. Was it because you were in a new place, you were excited spending time with her, or was it really something energetically that was just interfering with your sleep?
It felt like it was more something energetically because I just felt like something was in the air and that I wasn't able really to sleep. There was even before I went to my girlfriend's place in Edmonton, a couple of nights before I saw her, I had a hard time going to sleep there as well too. So I could tell that there were certain things that were happening in the air, certain just something was taking place, and I feel that maybe there was something in regards to the Earth's magnetic fields, perhaps shifting a lot, but it felt like it was a phenomenon that was existing because I posted this on Facebook, and everybody else was telling me, "Oh yeah, I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I'm barely getting any sleep the past few days." So it wasn't just me, and it wasn't just her, but it was the idea that all of us were experiencing some major shifts, some very big tidal waves magnetically, I feel, and it could have just been something in regards to where we're going through in regards to a galactic transit. And just seeing these magnetic fields fluctuate, because as the magnetic fields are fluctuating, yours is fluctuating as well too, and that can create definite unrest. So again, all you can do is just put a call out to assistance and to assist in stabilizing you, and that will come.
And is your girlfriend very intuitive as well? Is she very
I
sensitive?
don't really want to speak too much about her in that way because I don't really want to make this interview about her.
No,
Um,
just how she is in terms of like psychic development. Is she intuitive?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, so she can probably sense and feel these vibrations at certain levels too, because there's a degree of intuitivity, so to speak.
Hmm.
That's a new
Right.
word I just made up. And
Intuitivity.
yeah, in the levels of how and what you feel magnetically, energetically, what's going on the planet, what's going on energetically outside yourself, in yourself. So just different levels of degrees to what you actually are able to pick up and sense and feel. That's why I asked that question, whether she's intuitive or not. I don't want to know personal info about her, just a little bit to get a sense like what was going on.
Well, I mean, when I basically addressed this to the people on Facebook, because that's what I wanted to know, and saying, is it just us, or is this something that's happening to everybody on Facebook? And so this is where again a lot of other people were sensing. A lot of people didn't know what was going on, right? They just know that they were restless. I didn't even know at that time what was going on. I just knew I was restless and I wasn't able to get any sleep, and it was a very very difficult time in that week. So I wasn't even being able to receive intuitive information because when you're in that state, you're fluctuating, you can't access your source, right? You're basically just in this constant state of flux. So yeah, my girlfriend was like that. A lot of other people I've talked to on Facebook were like that. They were wondering what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. And all you can really do is kind of reflect on it a little bit later, overall as an objective person. And then you're getting an idea about what's coming through. So to me, it felt like something in regards to magnetic field interruption that was taking place as I can look at this objectively now. But back then, I was just involved because like, oh my God, I wasn't getting any sleep, right? So that's basically what's just taking up your intention. So your intuition doesn't really work too well if you're very heavily involved with an event, and I think that's what many of us were encountering in that time past.
Yeah, we are still human in human bodies, and we're thinking, oh my God, if I don't get enough sleep, I'm not going to be myself the next morning. I'm going to be tired. I'm not going to be functioning so well. So don't focus on the negative aspects. Just try your best to calm down, to relax. Even listen to some music, some relaxing, calming, metaphysical music before you go to bed if you feel restless, just to be in a calm, safe state.
Mm,
And so you can, prepare for sleep and let it come as it will.
yeah.
And not being that, oh my God, I can't sleep type of mentality or feeling, because it eventually passes. This feeling of not being able to sleep will pass as the energies calm down. So it's kind of outside of ourselves sometimes what's going on, and we're just sensing and feeling it and trying sometimes to understand what's going on. And, sometimes it's out of our hands and you just let it pass. And after a week or so, it's gone and you're back to yourself again, like you were saying. And you were asking, is anybody else experiencing this? It's not just me and my girlfriend. Who else is going through this? And I couldn't sleep either.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that energetically is going on the planet, and
Yeah.
it's
So
big.
if you know it's something collectively like that is happening, then you know it's a phenomenon. It's a planetary phenomena that's happening. And my feeling would be, again, just shifting of magnetic fields, shifting of the kind of hemispheric balance between the magnetic fields and your own. Because, again, whatever the Earth goes through, we go through, right? And so we're basically going through a lot of turbulence. There has been a lot of talk, especially coming up from this summer, that we're going to be going into some turbulent waters as we transit continuously through the galaxy. So basically what's happening is it's almost like the Earth is bouncing as we're moving through this particular transit. Alex Collier had talked about this a while back, and saying that basically what's happening is that the Earth is going through this transit, and that there will be it's kind of like going through rough waters in that way. And the Earth is basically bouncing. The entire star system, the sun, is just basically bouncing as well, too. And because we're just going into these deeper transits, these deeper sectors of the galaxy, where there's a lot more cosmic stardust, where there's a lot more energy coming through. Jonas refers to them as prisms, that the prisms are attempting to absorb as much of this as possible and disperse an even amount that is acceptable for us. But still, we're going to be going through some bouncy waters, the bumpy waters, as we continue to travel deeper into the galaxy.
And Jim, did you experience anything similar to Brad or me last couple of weeks?
Past couple of weeks, I've had a real hard time sleeping late at night. So yeah, I think I've been feeling the same thing. But I was wondering if I could make a comment about like what's happening in the world.
Yeah, of course, go for it.
Uh, there's going to be a process of integration that happens through a domino effect and something that they call critical mass. And what I mean by that is you're going to start noticing that you're going to be hearing people saying the same thing repeatedly everywhere you go, and you're going to be hearing it more and more and more. And what's happening is they're realizing the same things, and they're all realizing the same thing at the same time. So what this does is this sort of puts us all on the same playing field in the collective consciousness where we're all sort of waking up and telling each other, yeah, I'm waking up, you're waking up, we're all waking up. And what happens, when this momentum gets going, it reaches such a feverish pitch that it gets to the point where you get to this point where they call critical mass. And that's the point where everything changes.
Okay, and can you elaborate a bit on critical mass?
Critical mass is the point where it reaches its topmost point where everybody's saying the same thing. They're communicating back and forth. They're both saying, yeah, I realized that today or yesterday, or I'm realizing it now. It's a realization thing. And the more people realize the same thing at the same time, the stronger the momentum gets. And then the momentum gets, it can only go so far, and then it reaches a peak. And when it reaches that peak, that's probably what they're referring to as the event.
Okay, that's interesting. Mass consciousness reaching an event point and sort of seeing what's going to happen.
Yeah, all I'm trying to do right now is just provide some kind of an outlet to sort of look into the higher self and the inner vision and have some kind of a solution for people to get answers and insights to their questions about life and why they're here and that sort of thing.
Mm. And it's important to be able to have that outlet for people to be able to have these dice readings, and what you're doing is amazing for these people. I don't think you even charge people for it, right?
No, I don't charge.
There you go. You're doing this out of free will, out of the kindness of your heart, because you're here to help people, and that's what you're doing. So it's amazing, Jim, what you've done, what you're still doing, and what Brad is doing. We're all trying our best to put disclosure out there to provide meaningful information for people, and not just disclosure, healing stuff, how to help others, how to help yourself. This information is so vital to people right now, as people need more healing and people need more. They're realizing self-awareness is coming back to everyone, and they're all looking for answers to their questions. And the Stice method is great. Akashic Records, what Brad does, is great. Adronis channeling is wonderful. All of the free videos that Brad does about all kinds of information is amazing. So you guys are doing very good service to help the people of this planet. Thank you guys. That's amazing work. I just wanted to acknowledge that, what you both do to help others.
Well, don't sell yourself short as well, too, because there's a lot of information that you're sharing as well, too. That's quite powerful. A lot of people have not really had those experiences of going into the secret space program. So that is very interesting. Talking to you and talking to Randy Kramer and just being able to get a lot of this information as well, too, and seeing a lot of the stuff that Corey Good is doing. We need that. That's a lot of information because I don't have a lot of access to that information. Adronis basically says that when you're tapping into certain things, that it's almost like a jurisdiction. That you cannot know everything about what every star system is going through right now. It's kind of like looking at a film trailer, and a film trailer can only show you so much based upon our current state of development. So if you want to look in the Sirius, if you want to look in the Pleiades, there's a lot of people that are connected to the Sirius and the Pleiades. Those are the popular star systems. But if it's something like talking to Eridanus or talking to Fornax or talking to Sculptor, and in these particular constellations, we're not too familiar with those, right? Because they are different jurisdictions and they all have kind of like their own feed. So it's kind of like we're looking at a news feed, but a lot of those news feeds will just equal out to a trailer. And getting a little bit of understanding about that because there's no collective permission in regards to a two-way source that can give us a lot of this information. So intuition in regards to what I can do is just basically, again, accessing a lot of these kind of film trailers and getting an understanding, an overall impression about what some of these particular concepts are. But we're unable to get a great deal of concepts because of the lack of relationship that we have to them. If we can't relate to something, we won't be able to understand it. So basically, by having people coming into the SSP and then asking us and sharing all this information, these are new concepts that we never thought we could get information about. And so now we're developing new relationship with a lot of these concepts. What's happening with the ICC, what's happening with Solar Warden, what's happening with Radiant Guardian. What's happening with the Lunar Operations Command, what's taking place with the NSHAR and the Agartha network, etc. All of this is new information. All of this is new aspects of relationship that are being formed. So again, it takes a very strong amount of courage for that to happen. And so with the SSP information, that is extremely valuable.
Yeah, and I feel that's why my site was hacked as well, because it's so much info that's I'm starting to reveal so much that certain somebodies don't want that out anymore. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with the website provider if they actually have a backup of it somewhere floating on their server. Because yesterday everything was working. It's today that it went down at some point. So that'll be interesting.
But even
to
if they
see.
don't, then you have Google to fall back on.
Yeah, I'm going to go and save 140 pages worth of info.
Better than losing it, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to start over again with the website because that was like 2 years of work. I don't know if it's worth me putting it all back in for it to be taken down again.
But the whole overall point is that you are preserving a lot of the stuff that you have written and you have spent many hours and days working on.
Yes.
Right? So as long as that is preserved, whatever you want to do with that is up to you. But I would say just go in there as soon as you can and just try and copy all that stuff. Even if it takes a while, just do what you can to back everything up. Very important.
Yeah, I'll do my best, and I'll still do the YouTube stuff. And if they have, the thing is, like Wix allows you to do for free stuff and paid stuff, but they don't allow you to back up your stuff from the website to your
Well, no, you're not backing stuff up. What you're doing is you're just going to the cache pages. You're just highlighting stuff and you're copying it and you're pasting it.
No, I know that, but most website providers allow you to back up your information that you're storing on their servers that you're paying for to your hard drive. Wix doesn't allow that.
Yeah, but it's still good to talk to Wix to find out exactly what happened.
Yeah. I'm not blaming them. It's not their fault that this happened. It's just you can lose a lot of. This has taught me this. You're paying for a service, and if you're not allowed to back it up, like your physical HTML files, the coding that you worked with, if you're not allowed to back that up, it's lost. So that's something else that
But
like
it's also being able to discover an explanation, even if it is a free account. You have to
yeah.
find out exactly why, what was the reason for its deletion. They have to give you a reason with that, even if it's a free account or not.
Yeah, well, I didn't get anything. No,
Yeah,
did
so that's why
I?
it's good to contact them, find out what's up.
Yeah, I mean, I lost the whole account. It wasn't that the site went down, the whole account is gone.
But that's the whole idea, is you want to find out what's up, right? So if the entire
Yeah,
account is gone, they have to have a reason. There's got to be a reason in regards to why that was down. If it was a
yeah,
hack attack or whatever it was, there still needs to be something in regards to an explanation saying, I had this account, where to go, here's the cached pages to show its proof that this was here.
yeah.
Why was it taken down? So basically, in that sense, just being able to file kind of like a complaint, finding what's happening.
Yeah, well, yeah, I asked them immediately before our show started. I said, hey, this is my website URL, and this was linked to such an email. What happened to it? It's all, now
Exactly.
all
Yeah.
gone.
Yep. So you got
So
to find out what happens.
yeah, it's a
Your
learning.
response.
It's a learning point for me, I think, and I'm not blaming them. It's not their fault that they were hacked, possibly, or there's a glitch on their server.
Well, nonetheless, they have to owe you an explanation.
Yeah,
That's the
and
whole
I'm
idea. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm sure in a couple of days, Monday, Tuesday, I'll get something because right now it's the weekend, so they're off, and that's okay. I mean, I'm going to continue doing what I do and relaxing and enjoying. And this interview is great because people now know if something happens to their website, there is something cached on Google and they can go and save it. So it's something for people like that. What the explanation you gave me, how I can back up the website info, I'm sure it's valuable to other people and not just me.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Brad. That's perfect. Do you guys have anything else to add?
Well, I just wanted to say that it seems that the system is breaking down quite a bit right now. And I think as the system breaks down more and more, you're going to see a lot more people looking for answers. And, one of the things I've been trying to do is just sort of set up some kind of a network where, people can get those answers and they can get a clearer perspective on life and maybe have a place to go to where they feel like they belong to something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I agree with all of that.
I mean, one of the reasons that there isn't more people asking more questions is because, when they flick the light switch, the light goes on. The
Yeah.
grid is up. The grid is up and running. People are still making money. They're still getting electricity. The system still works.
But to what point? And will the system continue as it is now, or will it collapse? Will the
Well,
lights go off?
that's a good question. Myself personally, I don't think it's going to collapse severely because from the last I heard, there was hundreds of tons of gold bullion that came into the United States, and we're getting ready to move into a new money system that's backed up by gold.
Yeah, that's true. And my IT contacts told me to get gold. So I just listened, I did it, and I don't know exactly why I did it. I think it's for security purposes. Even if paper money goes poof, bye-bye, there's still something. The system still keeps going, but it's now different. It's gold now or whatever. Whatever the new standard is. Today it's the gold standard. Tomorrow it might be the silver standard, just as an example of what precious metals we have and resources. So the money system still, the cog is still going. How will that be reformatted? That's interesting. The question is,
Yeah,
do we need money or not? Do we need it?
eventually we're going to go without money because our consciousness and our awareness is going to become developed.
Yeah, I mean, we have the resources. We are our own resources. That's what the people are. They are good resources that we don't need money for. We are the resource. That's why we're here.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of what they said about this UFO that they confiscated and they studied it and studied it, and then eventually they came to the conclusion that the power source of the UFO was the people inside it.
Yes, because they were intuitively flying the UFO. They were flying it with their telepathic abilities.
Exactly.
There's no joystick in that UFO. You sit in a
It,
chair and you telepathically control everything around you. And that's what makes that UFO ship go and fly left, right, veer off, go top, bottom. You intuitively think it and it does it.
exactly. It's a
Yeah.
it's an organic process. It's a telepathic process, and there's no engine.
There might
It's
be
really
a there might
it's
be an
really
anti
amazing.
yeah, there might be an anti-gravity small propulsion system, very small, that powers it, but there's no huge engine in it like in Boeing airplanes and stuff.
Well, there's no carburetor in a stick shift. I know that.
No, 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 none of that, but there's still a small electrical, like, there's still an anti-gravity field engine that is very small. It's like this big, and it powers up the whole thing, and it's done with free energy technology. So it uses up magnetic resonance to power that ship.
Well, that's your area of expertise.
Oh, I'm just psychically going into that ship that was, taken down and seeing what was in it. Because I could see past events, I could see what was what from a description. So I'm seeing a little black metallic device that's yay big, and it's sort of circular, and that's what was used to power the ship with magnetic electrical fields. That's creating the propulsion system fields. The anti-grav technology, that's what it was that was powering the ship, but it was intuitively powered by the ETs on the ship that activated that engine. And the fact that the engine is this small and that it is powered by electromagnetic fields, that's incredible. That's not what's in our airplanes right now. We have huge engines, like huge. So that's the whole difference. This small to this big. Well, bigger. My hands don't quite go to the whole room, but
You know what?
that's amazing.
We're going to start seeing more and more technology that's based on awareness.
Yeah, that'll be incredible to see that. Brad, do you have any comments about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, really, first of all, if we're looking at a money situation in that way, yeah, you're right. We don't need money. However, most of the collective still believes that we do, and that's why we're still using it, right? So the whole idea here is that you need to really spend this time to convince people that money is not necessary, it's no longer needed, and what people best respond to is example of that, right? This is why again we're having something like an Ubuntu movement that's coming together, or we're having a Venus project, or things like this that are really saying that we will prove to you that we do not need money in regards to these contributionism, resource-based aspects that are coming through. So that needs to be a demonstration, because we can really talk all day long about how we don't need money. That really doesn't matter. The whole idea is that you really kind of need to put your money where these resources are, put your money where the contributionism is, and being able to demonstrate these as power nodes. And when there is enough of that power node that comes together and telling people this is basically us proving that we don't need money and this is how we can do it, now people are going to gravitate to that like crazy, because it's not just about lip service. We really want to show people that this is something that's being done. So looking at a guy like Michael Tallinger and the Ubuntu movement of everything that he's doing and putting together in that particular way is astounding. And so if there's a lot more showing of that, if there's a lot more community and connecting and realizing that we're not squabbling about the idea that do we need money, do we know that, let's not worry about that debate anymore, right? Let's put our actions through the words that we've been saying, and really being able to put this together and demonstrate that this is something that we have the capability of doing. And that is how you create these nodes. Now people will see it all over the planet and say, oh my god, this is it, this is going to work, right? Yeah, right. There can be sometimes governmental intervention that can come in together, but as long as the will is strong, and as long as you keep putting that intervention, you keep putting that assistance together, you keep wanting to attract each other and working together as these groups, you're going to have some amazing things happening on the planet. And so again, I feel that the Ubuntu movement, something like that, is our future. That's something I think is really something that's going to become part of humanity's overall living in the near times ahead. In regards to technologies, in that sense, pertaining to extraterrestrial spacecraft. Oh, there's even more fascinating ships out there than the ones we're just discussing. There's ones that are made out of pure light. There's ones that are basically just holograms. There's ones that connect with singularity. There's ones that go right to the sun and pop out to another area of the universe. It's astounding of the type of technology that we have, and I think there's still quite a few different forms of designs that even a lot of the SSP can't even still figure it out, because when it does activate, it's amazing. There's even some races that don't even use spacecraft. They just manifest a body, and they go into different worlds. They go to different star systems. They go to different dimensions. Really, when we really get the grasp of this, it may not be long before we're actually able to abolish the entire idea of a conveyance and actually just use ourselves to access different worlds, going to different platforms, going to different monitoring stations. All of that will be possible once we have the capability within ourselves to realize how we can do this.
Yeah, the light body factor. It's
Yeah.
you don't need a ship. You are your own ship because
That's
you
it.
are the
You're
light
using your own
body.
vessel. That's right.
You power yourself. You take yourself and you travel.
Exactly. That's how Adronis connects with me in that way. He basically uses a Merkaba vessel. So he's basically using these rotating and counter-rotating fields, and he's basically creating this vessel as kind of like an antenna that he is able to connect with me. And that vessel is always there. It's stationary in the now moment. And so I'm always just connecting to that energy of him, which represents this particular vessel that's always doing this rotating and counter-rotating fields to being able to connect with his transmission.
Perfect. Beautiful. Well, guys, I think we've had an incredible show today.
Very much.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you are the spaceship you've been waiting for.
Yes, you are the spaceship that you've been waiting for. We all are that and much more. So I wanted to thank you guys again. Beautiful show and a lot of incredible information that we got out today. So thank you so much, guys. And
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's been quite an honor, really.
awesome. So I'm going to click the off button and blast off.
Okay. Thank you, guys. We'll talk soon.
Adios, amigos.
Namaste.
Bye.
Take care.
Namaste.